Hello and welcome back. We're now going to start session 9. It's the first class of the Digital Marketing Management Master's class. And in this first session, we're going to discuss the topic of social media management and content planning. Let's get started. In this session, I want to provide all students an understanding of critical elements of social media and content management. All right, so there's 3 main things that I want you to take away in this class. All right, the first is how to build a social content calendar. This is critical for any brand or company. The next is then to understand the key building content and the content that's engaging. So we're going to give you tips. Okay, so when you build content, it has to be engaging. We're going to give you tips. There's 8 tips around the top 8 posts. We're going to share this with you. And then the last thing is understand more about social listening. So social listening tools that are out there, I'll give you a quick introduction to those. That'll help you then understand how you should tweak your social content strategy. All right, so in the first module, we're going to take a look at companies that have already built a content calendar. We're actually going to start with Pizza Hut. They're one of the global leaders in pizza delivery. What we want to take away from them is to understand how they're doing against the competitors. Benchmark yourself against them. So one of the best tactics to use when you're trying to develop your content calendar is take a look at what the competitors are doing. Okay. So as you can see here, they have over 30 million fans. I want to benchmark that first. You need to understand the followers or fans that a brand has. That's going to be needed when we calculate organic reach. But here are the high level look at the Facebook page and their total fans. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of their posts. Again, this class is about understanding how to create engaging posts, right? So when we look at each piece of content, I want you to think about the strategy behind the post. What I do is I put a tag on the post and can categorize the post. So you see here we have celebrity influencer tie-in. That's the tag. Or seasonal holiday and occasion. That's the tag that describes the category of post. So let's take a look at an example of the first one, celebrity tie-in.
My home gating ritual is ordering some Pizza Hut for all of my friends. I try to get everything that anyone could possibly want and make them eat pizza.
All right, so that's an NFL celebrity, and they're basically talking about the ritual Sunday. And it's occasion-based, right? So many times they prompt occasion. All right, now let's take a look at this. When we look at each piece of content, the next thing that you want to look at now is what I call video GIF, all right? So introducing video GIF and GIF animation in general, animated GIF, all right? Let's take a look at what this looks like. Okay, so it catches the eye. They also have the tagline here, tag the friend you want to share the dinner box with. So that's also another best practice of asking in the post for people to share. That drives engagement as well. Let's take a look at the video on the right.
Halftime entertainment is entertaining.
So it's NFL tie-in. It's also occasion-based, right? This is the Sunday in America. But what they've done is Pizza Hut's decided to go big in their partnership with the NFL. They chose to work with the NFL because people watch football on a Sunday in America. It makes sense for them to have that tie-in. And what better to do when you're watching football than order pizza? It's the perfect occasion. Okay, here's another type of photo. The post on the left, again, NFL tie-in, but it's an example of people using their staff in the photo. So those are Pizza Hut staff. What this does, it allows you to build trust and form a bond with the company. Let's take a look at this one. And the one on the right, again, it's occasion-based, And what they did is they used their offline TVC there. So you can also use your TVC assets to be part of your social content calendar. Let's take a look.
Touchdown!
Go, sports!
All right. The casual fan. So it's their offline TVC, but they add things here. All right. In the next example, this is a promotion. This is the first one I'm showing you about promotion. So the category is promotion. 2 medium pizzas for $5. We also see in this example another promotion post, but this time they invite you to participate in the campaign by registering. All right? Let's see what this looks like.
I won. Congrats. Todd Gurley? I'm here to deliver you to Super Bowl 53. Super Bowl 53?
Right, but they want you to go register first. They put the URL there. All right. And on the most important day of the month in December, Christmas Day, let's see what they do. And the post on the right also is occasion based. They're predicting how you're going to feel on New Year's Day, hungover. Right? So again, prompting an occasion, prompting you to order pizza. All right. So in summary, what you need to do is look at how many total posts they have across everything. This will let you better understand how they plan the strategy at the beginning of the month. They produce 20 pieces of content in the month. And if you look across these 20 pieces, holiday season's the most frequent. That's because it's December. 9 in total. Then followed by NFL tie-in, which had 5 posts. Followed by occasion-based posts, which had 4. All right? So the last thing to understand here is that pizza is a food people need to eat every day. It's the type of product that requires lots of occasion-based prompting. That's why you saw so many examples in there of putting people in situations, occasions in their life. It's the type of product that requires frequency as well. So it makes sense to have 20 posts. Now let's take a look at a completely different type of company. Google, one of the world's largest and leading tech and media companies. As you can see, Google has 27 million fans worldwide. The challenge that Google has is they have so many different products and services. It makes it challenging for all of those things to be represented inside of one social media Facebook channel. But let's take a look at what they did. These 2 posts, they used the engagement strategy. The first was local guides campaign. And they asked their followers to share reviews, photos, knowledge, and use the hashtag local guides. They brought in elements of user-generated content, which is always best practice. Helps the campaign become more viral. So both of these use user-generated content, which is quite good. All right, now let's take a look at an example of education posts. Meaning that Google is trying to educate the users on how they can use Google's open tools to create products. To make this powerful, they used a case study from a girl who built an app to detect lead in water. And this was very timely in the US, in Flint, Michigan. Let's take a look at what she did.
My name is Gitanjali Rao, and I created a device that detects lead in drinking water. I heard about the water crisis in Flint, Michigan about 3 years ago, and I was appalled by the number of people affected. So I created Tetless, the quick and accurate tool to detect lead contamination in water. So how it works is you dip the disposable cartridge into the water you want to test, and the lead in the water binds to the chloride ions and forms lead chloride molecules, which are like speed bumps on the base of the carbon nanotube. When the electrons flow through, they go over these.
All right, so you can see it's an educational type of post. And then if you look at the one on the right, this is an example of awareness. So Google's a global leader in search. but they're always trying to re-strengthen the brand and remind people that they are the global leader in search. So this is intended to build the brand perception and awareness of the Google search data, and they did it in a beautiful way. Let's take a look.
It takes a few seconds, so I'll switch this one on. And we'll just say, Mummy Talks.
Alex? 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 Hello, you.
This is a miracle rescue. All 13 members of the soccer team are out of the cave.
He turns into the superhero, set on feeding as many homeless people as possible.
This election, we've seen historic voter turnout.
In all Asian casts, there's nothing more empowering. You have to go right up and do it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. All right, awareness. So in summary, Google had 27 posts in the month of December. They did a really good job at sharing them across all the different services. So even though people know Google search, they still want to reinforce that with the dominance of things like hashtag search on. They had around 2 posts there. But the majority of the posts, you can see, they introduced new products and services like the Street View, local guides, Google Assistant, Google Maps, etc. All right, so that brings us to the end of this module. We showed you 2 companies. And now I wanted you to complete this short activity. So in this concept, I wanted you to learn, again, what are others doing in the market? We saw 2 very different types of companies, Pizza Hut and Google. But I want to know, what is your view on the following? So please answer these questions, download them from the Blackboard assignments, complete them, and then upload them again. Thanks so much. All right, let's start with the next module concept. In this module, we're going to present the best practices of social content posting. The goal of content posts is to have the maximum amount of organic engagement with the page followers. We also want to ensure maximum reach of our potential audience. So now let's look at some best practices that you can use when creating your content plan. So in today's world, people don't want to be bombarded daily with advertisements from all possible platforms, TV, radio, giant billboards, and even while you're surfing the web. Okay, so let's face it, people don't come to Facebook to see advertisements. People want to be entertained, inspired, and educated. So based on my own experience with my brand and through analyzing what other brands have done, I'll share with you some methods that have helped me increase my Facebook page engagements and what I've seen work well in the market. Let's take a look. The first thing to consider is the amount of times you want to post per month. You don't need to post every day. Actually, posting less allows you to focus on quality instead of quantity. I've seen some brands that post every day, even twice a day I've seen. I believe it's better to have fewer posts, but make sure to boost the posts so you can maximize the reach and exposure of your post. Right? You have to boost them. All right, so I'm going to show you 8 different types of posts. Let's go one by one. The first one. All right, so video content has become a must-do for modern brands. However, and unfortunately I'll say, many see the investment in video to be complicated and out of their reach. So I just want you to consider that when video content will exponentially help you grow more shares than video or text. Right? Brands should give some serious thought on how to use creative social media ideas that incorporate video. But what you can do is something called bite-sized video, Vine-style video clips. Right? There's still the rage on Twitter, Instagram posts, and particularly with TikTok now, it's short videos. Let's take a look. This is an example from Krispy Kreme. Okay, here it is. So it's just sitting there with some animation coming in. You can see the flakes coming down. Bite-sized video. All right, The next one. So people can't resist the power of free. All right, so running the occasional contest. It's one of the most impactful social media ideas. All right, so when it comes to potential engagement from followers, it's seriously one of the most impactful ways you can do it. If you see here, and I'm just going to click on the video, what they did is they did this in a fun way, but they asked you to select and build your own box, and then you can submit it. Let's take a look. All right, so they ask you to select out of the 4 products, build your box. All right, so what's nice about this one is it shows you all their products and asks you to build a box, upload your box, and then you can enter a contest to win a free giveaway. So lucky draw contest, very, very popular and effective. All right, in the next one, okay, so it might be obvious. People comment when they have something to say. But sometimes, if we don't ask them to comment, there's a chance they won't say anything. So asking questions is a good way to offer our followers a chance to share their thoughts. And you can see how they did it here. Social media is no longer a megaphone. It's now becoming a one-to-few, or often one-to-one channel. Thoughts? See, they just put that question. Thoughts? Something little like that can really help. All right, let's look at the 4th post type. So, plain and simple, there's something compelling about live video. In fact, people spend 3 times longer watching Facebook live videos than pre-recorded ones. This is a good example from Seth Godin. He's a marketing guru, and he uses live streaming as an avenue to answer questions and educate his audience. I'll show you, this is a 16-minute video. I'll just show you the first 30 seconds to get a flavor of how he does it. Turn your sound on. All right, okay. First thing is the sound's not on. He's talking. Right. So interesting, and he asks you to turn your sound, each one individually has to do that. Live video. All right. Okay. Post type number 5. Trending topics on Twitter and Facebook. They represent a way for brands to capitalize on topical contents, things that are popular in the day. However, you have a limited window for this opportunity because such content might not be relevant if you wait too long. But if you get it right, you can have huge lift. So here's our 2 examples. There was a blackout in the Super Bowl one year, right? So there you can see how Oreos is using, you can still dunk in the dark. And here's an example from Arby's who's capitalizing on the show from Netflix called Stranger Things. See how they put Barb Employee of the Month. So it's just using things from popular culture. All right, post type number 6. An AMA, Ask Me Anything. So an AMA series represents a good chance for a business to educate and engage their followers. When you consider how an AMA ticks a lot of the boxes for brands, it can do the following. First you get to show off your personal side, showcasing the face behind the curtain. In this example, it was my company, it would be me. You raise awareness for your brand without being pushy or salesy about it. And you also learn about the concerns and interests of your audience. This is great for getting feedback on how you can change your service or your product. So an AMA session can work well. In this next post, we're going to show you an example of a product catalog. So if you're a retail product company, then you have a fantastic opportunity to include your products in the post. In the Facebook product catalog feature is what it's called. You just need to upload your products to Facebook, and then you can use them in the footer of your post. When people click, you can either lead them to your e-commerce website, or you can just showcase this in the shop section of Facebook. 2 ways that you can use it. And the last post type number 8, you know, one of the smartest things that you can do is provide content that will make your audience smarter. It gives them value. If you can provide useful content to your community, then they will see your business as a value-added element of their lives. So you can do this in a few ways. Produce original content, or you can repost content that you think they would enjoy. So for my company, here is examples of original content that I produced about Line, the changes in Line. And then I reposted a documentary on the Facebook dilemma. So both of these were able to get good reach and engagement for me with my audience. The last tip I'm going to show you in this module, it's perhaps the easiest way in which a brand can drive engagement inside social media. It's not a type of post, but it's more what you do after you post. So after you post, you'll create comments and questions. And sometimes it takes time to comment on your content, so give it a few days. But if people do comment, you should return the favor. And you can also find customers that way. People overwhelmingly want to interact with your brand. That's the reason why so many businesses that reply to comments score very high with interactions. You know, and replies, to be honest, in today's world, they become an expectation. So you have to. People respect a social response within a few hours. So this is a great way. And then you can even, if you have e-commerce, you can also sell directly to them. All right, so this brings us to the end of this module. Now it's time for you to complete this short activity. All right, so we learned a lot of best practice tips in this module that you can use for building your content plan and using in your content plan. Now what I want you to do is put what you've learned to use. I want you to look at a company called Olivavita, olivavita.co. They also have a Facebook page there. So the question I want to ask you is, how many posts should they do per month, in your opinion? 1, 4, 8, 30? What do you think? The second question is, of the 8 post types that we showed, name the 2 most important type that Olivavita should do. All right, so if you had to choose 2 out of these 8, which would you say are the 2 most important? All right, so please download it, complete the assignment, and upload it back into Blackboard. Thanks so much. Let's continue to the next module concept. Module concept 3. In this module, we will discuss how to measure the success of your content social post program. Let's get started. So we're going to look at some main metrics that we use to define the success of a content marketing program. The first one is engagement rate, and that's the most important. This is the main metric around which all posts will be evaluated. This is calculated as follows. So the engagement rate is the number of likes plus comments plus shares divided by the total number of fans that you have times 100, because you want to put it as a percentage. So you're trying to figure out, if you have 1,000 fans, how many of those fans were reached? If you had 100 fans reached, then of 1,000, that'd be 10% engagement rate. Okay? Meaning that of the 100,000 people reached, 10% of them engaged with your content. Right? So it's how many people of the potential universe engage with your content. The next thing to benchmark is your page versus your competitors. Okay, so using Facebook Insights, this can easily be done. In this example, you can see that your brand ranks 4th in terms of total fans. But fans are not the most important indicator of engagement. What's more important, in my opinion, is your average engagements per post. In this case, your brand averaged 5,000 engagements per post. If you look at versus the competitors, that actually ranks the highest. So it's not how many times you post, but the quality of the post. The next core metric to evaluate is your total engagements versus your competitors. So this will tell you what's known as your share of voice, right? It'll also tell you many things about how your posts are performing, including the quality of your post versus your competitors. Could be also how much paid media you are spending versus your competitors. Because as you spend more, then your engagement will also be higher. These are the things that will drive a share of voice. The quality of your post, as well as how much you're putting in paid media. In industries that are very competitive with lots of options, your share of voice is a good indicator of how strong your brand is at the very moment. So again, engagement share of voice is total engagement of your brand post divided by the total engagements of your top competitors. So in this example, you can see your company at 43%, competitors 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 15, 10, 20%. So you had the highest total share of voice. Good, that week. But maybe that's not consistent. So in this slide, what you can see is competitive share of voice over time. That's more important. When you have data over time, it should always be analyzed over time. All right? So week on week. This allows you to see exactly what is driving your performance versus your competitors. You can see here in this example, MK Restaurant had the highest share of voice for 5 weeks. But then in the last week, Barbecue Plaza passed them. When we look deeper, we see it is due to their promotion and the use of key online influencers. It really helped them create buzz. And that's usually what drives it. It's your promotion and how much media spending and what you're putting towards key online influencers. All right, the next metric is known as organic reach. All right, this is defined as, it's total users reached from your post without boosting the post, so not putting paid media. This is a good indication of how well these posts do naturally without spending any money to boost it. Unfortunately, Facebook makes it harder and harder every single year for you to get organic reach. Over the past 8 years, the average has dropped from 17%, you can see here in February 2012, to around just 2% today. Facebook wants you to pay for it, and people are. That's why they're one of the richest companies. But in some cases, Facebook, they will give you as high as 6%, maybe even high as 19% organic reach. Here's some examples. So what's important to know is the way the Facebook algorithm works is that it will give you much more reach and engagement for free if the post initially has strong engagement. So when people click, like, comment, share in the beginning, then Facebook will distribute that to more people. Right? So 6% and then 19%. This was a photo of a driver delivering pizza in a flood. So many people liked it and they commented it in the first hour and it spread throughout Facebook. Total 339,000 people were reached organically without having to pay. Okay, so organic reach. The last core metric is sentiment. All right. So sentiment is a summary of how people feel about the brand. When people comment about the brand, it will either be positive, neutral, or negative. So the formula is calculated as follows. Total positive comments times 10 divided by total negative comments times negative 10. Let's look at an example. In this example, the total sentiment was negative 8.4. So from 50 comments, we can see 46 were negative and only 4 were positive. So if you plug it into that formula, you'll get negative 8.4. So this puts it at a very low end of the customer sentiment, right? And we can see why. Positive, very few. But here we can see an example. All right, people liked the food, they generally were happy. But more people were upset. It's an example of late delivery. So customer feedback is critical to success. You can have lots of engagement, but if it's negative engagement, then your brand could be in big trouble. And this brings us to the end of this module concept. Again, we introduced the core metrics, How do you measure success of your social content program? Hope this was helpful. And to test your knowledge of this module, we want you to answer the following questions. All right? So please download, answer the questions, upload them back into Blackboard. We'll discuss in this week's weekly tutorial. Thanks. Now this brings us to the last module in this session. In this module, we will present the process of how to build the content calendar, the final step. After this module, you will be able to have a framework to develop the content calendar on your own, and I'll provide you an Excel template that you can use for this, all right? So let's get started. All right. Before you can build the calendar, there's one evaluation I need you to do. You need to ask specific questions and have specific considerations that will help you develop the ideal calendar to drive engagement. So let's go through these questions and considerations one by one. The first one is, how many posts should you make per month? Now this will depend on the volume of fans you have and your overall budget. Right? If you have lots of budget, you can do more. The second is, what do you want to say about your product or service? So new product launches or new features to your product. You want these to be represented. The third thing is, what are the unique selling points of my product or service? How does it help customers? How are we unique versus the competitors? These are the things you want to identify. And the fourth is, do I have any promotions or special offers that month? So things such as discounts, monthly deals, maybe a free audit if you're a service company. Then, how can I educate the community? So are there any insights or useful information that you can provide to your community? Do you have any original industry studies? It can be third party as well that you can repurpose. Next question, how can I get customers to engage with my posts? So you need to think of things like contests, lucky draws, ask questions, ask users to upload content, etc. These are ideas of engagement. Number 7 is, are there special events, either from your company or there industry events that people would be interested in that you could promote? Has your business reached a certain milestone that you'd be proud of, etc.? And last but not least, what are some upcoming seasonal events that are happening in the coming month that you can leverage to be more relevant to your customer? So examples of this are like holidays, industry calendar, events specific to an industry, Mother's Day, cancer awareness, Pride Month. These are all examples of this. All right, so before you do the final step of building your calendar, ask these questions. And now you're ready. So once you have the answer to these questions that you've done during the exploration phase, you're now ready to develop the content calendar. So I want you to take a look at this content calendar that you created for the pizza company. In this example, we prioritize the following post categories to be included: product, promotion, staff and photo, customers and photo, lifestyle experience occasion, engagement, CSR, technology, brand equity, holiday and occasion, and new store opening. I'm not going to review all of these. I'm just going to show you a few. So product, what is that? This is where we want to introduce the new products that pizza company comes up with every few months. We want to share it. We want people to know about it. We need to show mouth-watering photos of the food that will drive interest, right? Obviously, promotion. This is where you want to highlight any special promotions that you may have. Should always have a strong call to action. Buy now, 50% off. All right, and then the third is lifestyle occasion, lifestyle experience occasion. This is where you want to make posts that connect with occasions that are in people's lives. So for example, people watching TV with my pizza, you may say, my favorite team, pizza and beer. I love the weekend. Right? It's putting you in a situation that's relevant to people's lives, something that they may experience. And last but not least, engagement, because this is, again, the most important. You need to have an engagement post every month. We showed many examples of this in the past. So, in total, the last thing to look at, is then the total number of posts that you want to consider. So you see here I have a total of 15. I weighted the most heavily towards promotion and product. I think this is the most important. You want to get your special deals out there. It's what people care most about at the end of the day, to be honest. And you want to educate them on your products, make sure that they know. And then engagement and other things can all sort of weight evenly. So this is a calendar that shows the strategy that we put together by asking the right questions, looking at best practices, and putting together a content calendar that, in my opinion, makes sense. Here's a template that you can use. Okay, so once you have the category concepts, post concepts, quantify the post, the next step is to put it into a social calendar. It's a great example that you can use. You see it has the date of the week, the day of the week, the time of the post, the format, etc. Right, so you can use this for your own program as well. All right, so this brings us to the end, and now it's your turn. We want you to do this short activity, fill in your own content strategy. All right, so what I want you to do is download the social content planner from Blackboard in the assignment. Then put it into the post in description. You see we have the blank category there. And I put these categories that I want you to focus on. But put your idea and concept there. All right, so you got to get a little bit creative here. All right, please be sure to submit the spreadsheet back into Blackboard before the weekly tutorial. And that brings us to the end of this entire session. You survived another one. So now you guys are experts in how to develop a world-class content social strategy. Right? You can build great engaging content for your fans and build new customers as well. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thanks so much for joining. Take care.